I have a lot to learn still in my career and both on and off the ice. And I think hopefully, obviously, PWHL is a dream of mine. And I just want to keep, working as hard as I can to hopefully make that happen one day. Keep expanding, the world of women's hockey in North America, and being part of that growth would be awesome.
Hello and welcome back to Rinkside Rundown, the podcast that brings you inside the world of women's hockey, one story at a time. I'm your host, Chris Sinclair, and today I'm excited to be joined by Millie Sirum, a forward from Oslo, Norway, and a member of the Norwegian national team. After playing her college hockey at Holy Cross and Providence College, Millie is now in her first season competing in the SDHL. Millie, welcome to the show. How you doing?
Thank you so much. I'm doing great. How are you doing?
I'm fantastic, thank you. And I have been very much looking forward to diving in and learning more about you. So let's do just that. And we're going to start this conversation just like we start every one of the conversations on this show. And that's learning how you fell in love with the game. So as I mentioned, you grew up in Oslo, Norway. What first pulled you or drew you to the game of hockey?
Well, thanks for having me, first of all. And so actually, my brother was playing, and I was always hanging out around the rink. He started at the age of 3, and he's only a year older than me. So I was just kind of hanging around, but I was into other things. And my mom put me into ballet at an early age and more girly things, I guess you could say. And so one day I was like, I want to try it out too. I want to be like my brother and try to put some skates on and try to play hockey. So it just kind of happened naturally at the age of 8. And yeah, the rest is history.
Yeah, it worked out pretty well for you, eh? Do you remember when was there like a particular moment in your journey where you thought to yourself like, this is something that yes, I'm enjoying, but that I really want to take more seriously rather than just kind of a hobby or something like that? Do you remember that moment, and what was it that kind of sparked that transition for you?
Yeah, totally. I mean, at the age of 13, 14, you kind of had to choose. I was really into soccer as well, just as much as hockey. And obviously, I was playing with the boys at the time and the girls. So I kind of had to make a choice at some point. I think most people do. And at the age of 14, I really was like, okay, is it soccer? Is it hockey? Obviously, I love both. But I think that's when I kind of took hockey to the next step and really had to take that seriously and couldn't really miss any practices for anything. We weren't allowed to just play the games. You have to show up to every single practice with the guys. And yeah, I think that's when I kind of took that next step.
And what was it like being involved in girls hockey in Norway first starting out? What was that experience like for you?
I mean, it was cool. Obviously, I was part of this club that doesn't exist anymore called Jordal. And there wasn't, I mean, hockey isn't as big in Norway, obviously, and there's limited girls playing. I mean, way more now than it was back then. But where I was, it was in Oslo. There was just, at this rank, there was only one girls team, and that was Jordal. And yeah, that's why it was also nice that I got to combine it, playing boys and with the girls, so that I got even more competition and everything.
Hmm. Um, Especially early on, it's great when you're learning a new sport or you find that new passion that you have those role models or you have those influences who maybe inspire you or who maybe you want to embody, you want to be like that person. Now, you've mentioned your brother is kind of being that person who initially got you into the sport, but were there other people, other role models, other influences around the sport? It can be within hockey, maybe it was family, other family members, other sports. Who are some of those early role models for you in the game of hockey?
Totally. I mean, I went to a lot of hockey camps over the summers that were only girls hockey camps, which was really cool. Most of them. So obviously also older like national team players for Team Norway. Madeleine Haug Hansen, she's one of my big role models since I was 12, 13. I met her at the a summer camp. So that was cool, kind of getting to know and understanding, oh, there's older players and this is what they're up to and they're playing pro hockey. So seeing, like, looking up to them, obviously. And then there's also the big Olympians from Team USA, Team Canada that you've always looked up to as well. But it's nice to kind of see someone who was Norwegian and, a beast in the gym and a beast on the
Mhm.
ice. That was cool to be able to see like what type of person she was and kind of wanting to follow her footsteps. And take it pro one day as well.
How do you think when you get that chance to finally meet some of those people that you've looked up to, how did that change your perception of your own path, of how real maybe you saw your journey within the game of hockey now that you're actually meeting these idols and these role models and getting to be able to connect with them?
Yeah, I think it's truly special. I think it's really cool to be able to like talk to these people and also get to know like what their journey was like and learn from them and want to be more like this person. Even when you were 13, 14, I thought it was really cool feeling supported by these older figures.
You have mentioned about playing with the boys. What do you think that taught you? So playing with boys as opposed to with girls, what did that teach you about yourself, of course, and as well as your you as a player?
Yeah, definitely a thick skin, I would say.
Mhm.
Obviously I'm changing with them and I was one of the guys and I was one of very few girls that was allowed to play with the boys. Obviously now even it's hard to get in it. I played in Vålerenga, which is one of the top clubs in Norway, and it was very competitive and I was lucky enough to be able to just, be with them for from the age of 8 to 15. So I was just kind of one of them and they treated me like a guy. And I honestly, that was good for me because I wasn't treated differently. They gave me the standards that they give everyone else. And that made me much better. And I think the level on the ice and on and off the ice, it was tough, but I think I learned how to hit. I learned how to take hits. I learned how to play hard. And you just got to, get back up and play hard. And there's no excuses for anything. So you definitely got to keep your head up in that game.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, you've kind of alluded to it, so I want to touch on it a little bit more, but that compete level and having to take it so seriously at such a young age, were there ever moments when you doubted yourself, when you said, you know what, maybe the passion just isn't there? Like there are so many obstacles or there's so many challenges or there maybe just were you ever discouraged? And if you were, what did you do to stay motivated? Or maybe you were just that kind of person who's like, you know what? I'm not discouraged at all. This is great.
Yeah, I honestly not really. I mean, when you're that young, at least I was just so busy with school, so busy going to boys practice, girls practice. Like, of course, when I think back, like it was a lot. Uh, and it's not easy, but I think that at the time I was just having so much fun. I was getting better, having good coaches around me too, and just yeah, wanting to get better. Obviously at the age of 15 when I moved away from home, then obviously it was nice to also play on a higher level with female athletes and not just boys. Obviously you get to that age where you also want to be in the locker room with girls and girls who get you in a different
Mhm.
way, but
Yeah.
I think it was also a positive experience, having the guys too around me and looking back on it, I obviously miss boys hockey because you can just get after it and you can hit hard and you obviously have to be smart out there because you don't want to get blown up. But I'm definitely a bigger player who likes to play physical. So I definitely miss that.
Yeah, I was going to ask if that's still a defining aspect of your game is that foundation that you built around physicality and having to go toe to toe with the boys. Would you say that's still a huge part of your game now still too?
Yeah, totally. I mean, obviously now in the SDHL you can hit, but it's still certain hits. Obviously, open ice is not allowed, but I definitely get caught in certain situations where I do get some penalty minutes, and I'm working on that. But
Mhm.
obviously, I wish it was. Obviously the PW2 is more and more physical for every season, and college is getting there hopefully. But in college, it was definitely hard, and I felt like I had to think a lot about my
Yeah.
body and I couldn't really go full into to every single battle that I did wanna go fully in because I would destroy someone.
Yeah. Yeah,
So
absolutely. Um I want to talk about the national team and your experiences with the national team because you've been such a core part of Team Norway's offense across multiple different levels of with the national team. What is I'm going to start with maybe a question you've been asked 1,000 times, but what is the opportunity to represent your country, especially with the Olymp? I'm thinking, timely with the Olympics right around the corner as well, of course. What does the opportunity to represent your country mean to you?
I mean, it's extremely special every time, we put on our jerseys. I know I'm sure everybody says this, but you can't really describe the feeling. Like, you get kind of emotional, and I'm not like maybe the most emotional person in the world, but you do get emotional every time, every game. And when we hear our like national anthem too after games that we've won, it's just an amazing feeling. And you really want to fight to a next level for that, for your country, for your teammates, for your coaches, obviously. So it's truly special, and it's something that I think that feeling will never go away. Every time even though I've been, on the team for so long now, I still feel the same way. So that's really fun.
When it comes to Norway in particular, Norway got a promotion. And I wanted to know, and that was the first promotion since 1997. It's obviously a historic moment for the country, for the team, for the program. What was, as someone who's been a part of the program for as long as as long as you've been a part of it, you've seen the growth of that program, the impact that that program has had, obviously on you, but as of course the rest of the nation as well. What was that experience like for you because you were inside the group, and again, you've seen the growth of that program?
Totally. I mean, I think our pre-camp was really good that year. This was 2 worlds ago, so 2 seasons ago, but I felt like everything just kind of fell into place, and we've fought through every single year trying the same, having wanting to have the same goal. Obviously every year you want to get a promotion and go up to the top division. But it's definitely not easy, and you have to be consistent. You got to work hard every game, and you have to have the energy to work hard for all those games as a group. And we definitely had a solid group that year. Everyone was, felt comfortable with each other, and we just had a great group and great energy on the bench. And we were able to hit any adversity we were able to handle pretty well. And I think that, through the highs and lows during a tournament too, you got to be able to reset. You got to be able to make it through 5 games. So, yeah, it was unbelievable.
What does an international tournament, and especially they're always so short. It feels like a blink of an eye, and they've started and now they're done. Um, what do those international tournaments teach you that maybe club hockey or collegiate hockey wouldn't be able to teach you?
I mean, obviously we meet like we have such limited time throughout the season together. So it's like when you first get there, it's super intense. We have so many meetings. We have like back to back everything. We have our schedules are super full. And we have to kind of like, group together in the 2, 3 weeks that we have together and maximize it as much as we can. So it's definitely more intense, and you got to kind of perfect every single day, every single practice. You have no time to waste whatsoever, because we don't have that many camps throughout the year. And the time is to shine when we have worlds, and we don't really have time to mess with. So, yeah.
How thinking, I guess, conversely or the opposite way, when you then leave the international tournament, whatever that tournament may be, and you go back to club hockey, or we're going to dive into your collegiate career in just a moment, but when you go back to your previous program team, how do you see it different? How do you see your role on that team, or maybe your training, maybe the stuff you're doing off ice? Do you see a difference in how you're approaching that with the more experience that you have in such a condensed amount of time with the national team?
Yeah, I think it definitely helps because obviously we get a lot of feedback on the national team, and we're working with I'm working with more experienced players than myself, older players that I've been able to learn from so much, and they play pro already. So when I was in college, I was, flying over the ocean to, go play these tournaments and stuff. And I was playing with these, people that have played pro for 10, 15 years. And I just thought it was so awesome to just see them in practice, see their small habits, learn from them. Obviously in college, you're all similar age, so the experience there is similar. But going to the national team camps and being able to learn so much from older players is something that was really fun for me. And hopefully, obviously, it was now I'm getting older, but now I'm not like the youngest anymore. But obviously, like keep learning from players that are older than me or the same age too.
For you personally, because again, you've been involved in this program for as long as you've been involved with it, and you've seen that next wave coming up. I make it sound like you're a really old veteran or something like that. Of course, that's not the case, but you've seen this sort of next wave. and you're a part of helping them just as the veterans helped you, how does that change maybe your perception or perspective on the game when you're also being leaned on as somebody to bring your new teammates along and help them feel comfortable and help them grow and help them develop and challenge them, but also support them? What's that been like for you in your own hockey journey?
Yeah, it's been fun. Obviously, I make jokes about how I feel older now, and but all the girls coming up, I mean, they're obviously young, and we have a lot of girls coming up that are young and really good. So that's really fun to see, like talented girls coming up, and hockey keeps growing in Norway, and more resources and money are being put in really great. And but yeah, no, it's fun. It's fun to get to know people. I love getting to know new kids, and even like no matter what their age is, it doesn't really matter. We're from the same country, we have the same values, and we all want the same goal is for the team to be as good as we can be. So I think it's been fun to kind of talk, have those chats with them, and have them ask me questions about anything that I can help them with, and be as inclusive as possible too, so that they feel comfortable.
How inspiring is it to see, as you mentioned, more funding, more attention, more eyeballs, even just on the national program, but also that next wave of talent? And it's it seems like every year you're like, okay, the talent, wow, that took a big step forward with Norway. Like Norway is that much better. Oh, wow, now this year they're so much better than they were last year. Like you're seeing those tangible steps. How inspiring and how motivating is it for you to see that growth and then to kind of maybe apply it to how you're approaching the game with the national program and of course now in the SDHL? Does that change? I keep bringing up perspective or perception, but does that change how you view the game as well because you're seeing just how much it's growing in Norway and the talent pool that's there and again the eyeballs as well?
Yeah, I mean, I feel like in North America too, it's only going one way, and it's nice to see that that's happening in Norway too. More and more players are starting to play too, and I know that it keeps building every year, and that's super positive. You only want it to go up, right? So, I want to be part of this change and be part of help grow the game all over. If it's Norway, if it's in North America, wherever it might be, I want to help out with that change, and I feel like it keeps going in the right direction, so that's awesome to see.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, really encouraging for sure. Um, we're going to shift now to your collegiate career. And I mean, it seems like a natural starting point would be what made the NCAA, before we get into the actual programs that you chose, what made the NCAA feel like the right step for you in terms of your development in your own hockey journey?
Totally. I mean, obviously combining a great education, hopefully, with a, great hockey program. And obviously I've heard great things about college hockey, and that's, I think that the way it's set up is you can get better every single day, and it's the highest level out there at that age. I think it's the greatest way to go, and I recommend it to everyone that I meet, especially younger players, trying to help them, get committed or go over to the US or Canada even, just because I feel like the everyday life is awesome, and obviously you also meet the greatest people and hopefully the best friends for your life. So, I loved college, and I think most people do. So, yeah, no, it was great.
Yeah, I appreciate the shout out for Canada because I think people often look at the NCAA as being the only collegiate route, but the U Sports, Canadian University Sports, it's pretty good. It's getting there. As I stumbled my way through in the intro, talking about Holy Cross and Providence College, what were those experiences? Obviously, those are the places, those are the programs you were a part of in your collegiate career. What were those experiences like for you, and what made those the right choices for you when you were, okay, hey, I'm going to the NCAA, but these are the programs that I'm going to choose. What ultimately led you to make those decisions as well?
Yeah. I mean, obviously Hockey East at the time, I really, looking back on it 5, 6 years ago, there was such icons in that conference. And I really wanted to be part of, a good conference. But most importantly, I did really care about my academics as well. And I just wanted to combine that experience, have a good academic school where I know that I can set up my future nicely as well after my hockey career one day. And my dad also was on me for that. but I thank you for it now. But also being part of a, a good hockey program, but also being surrounded by good human beings. I think that was important for me, like knowing the coaching staff and how they valued me as a person, but also as a player. And Holy Cross became my family. So, yeah, it was a great spot to be at. And Providence, obviously, I was also looking for a 1 year MBA program actually, because I'm interested in business and economics and such. But and obviously PC was it's a great school and great hockey program. So yeah, couldn't really go wrong there.
Absolutely. Yeah, two good programs, that's for sure. What did those years teach you most about yourself? Of course, on the ice, but this is a show about getting to know you. So we got to figure out and hear about how or what it taught you as a person as you progressed through those collegiate years in your hockey journey.
Yeah, totally. I mean, obviously, you spent a lot of time in the locker room, but you also spend a lot of time out in the classroom, outside the rink. And I honestly valued half of the experience was also meeting a lot of different people from different places, which I really love. That weren't athletes, that weren't hockey players. And I was kind of friends with everyone. I didn't really care who it was and whatever, but I really enjoyed getting to know new people and, being part of that. So, yeah, I think I learned a lot about myself. I think you grow a lot in college. It's 5 or 4 years of, I know in
Mm,
Canada it's 5 mostly, but
mm,
yeah, I think you learn a lot about yourself as a person and how you handle certain situations. And it's definitely not easy being with your teammates 10 hours a day every day for 4 years, or, one season at a time. So you got to handle, you know, every situation. But at the end of the day, senior year, I was like, wow, this is my family. I love all my classmates, and we still talk most days to this day. So I think it's you really grow together, especially with your grades. So it was a great experience.
One of the things in preparing for this conversation that I found out was how important to you team culture and being surrounded by good people matters. When you think about your journey, when do you think that really sunk into you? That the impact of having good people around you, having that support around you. Maybe it's, family, of course, when you were back home, but when you don't have that family, when do you think that really, maybe I just answered it for you, but when do you think that really sunk in for you, that importance of having good people in your life?
Yeah, definitely. I think at Holy Cross, honestly, I really valued because we were valued, being a good person and, treating each other with respect, obviously on a team. And this is how, you kind of learn more and more how are you a great teammate and how do you respect one another and stuff like that. I know it was COVID, obviously freshman year, so it wasn't the easiest year either, but, you learn as a team how to, deal with adversity and things like that. So, yeah, I think definitely during college you really realize. I mean, it's not just about hockey; it's life in general. You obviously want to be surrounded by people that want what's best for you, and then you obviously want what's best for them. So, it obviously goes both ways.
Course. Um, the other thing that I couldn't have this conversation with you without bringing this up was how much you're known for bringing arts and crafts into team spaces. Where did that come from, and why was it so important for you to kind of integrate that into the team environment as well?
Yeah, totally. So it actually started when the summer before we went to China. I didn't know what the situation was, obviously, with social media in China and stuff like that. So I was like, okay, we got to do something with our time then. Obviously, you don't want to be on your phone like at all with I can't be, but here we are in today's society and we're way too much on our phones. And I think that it was not knowing what was if we could even be on our phones over there or have any sort of social media. I think I was like, okay, then we need to find something to do. I don't want to just sit still and do nothing. I got to do something all the time. And I love being social. And yeah, I thought one of my friends back home in Oslo, she was a big into making bracelets, and she made me buy a whole set. And I had this like 5 pound bag. I still have it actually here. But yeah, I have like a 5-10 pound bag of a bunch of beads and all this stuff. So yeah, I think it's really fun, just like a team bonding, and people really enjoy it. And so do I. And I just kind of like to share that because I think it's also very like soothing. Sounds weird, but it's just very relaxing and you don't have a lot of those moments, especially during tournaments, to disconnect a bit and just do something that's completely unrelated and just kind of chill and vibe, play some good music with your teammates and just relax.
Yeah, I feel like that bag of beads is going to last you the rest of your life. If it's a 5 or 10 pound bag of beads, that's wild. I didn't even know they sold it in that size. But I love that you brought up the importance of disconnecting. Do you find that that is something that you've started to realize the importance of more and more as your hockey career has progressed? Is how good it is to just like maybe every once in a while, like live in the moment and just like eliminate those distractions? Do you think that's changed and evolved as your career has changed and evolved?
Yeah, I mean, I've always been kind of into art and like painting and obviously making bracelets, but I think even as including my teammates in on it has been really fun and just, opening that space to talk about something else than hockey as well. I enjoy doing that a lot, and I think it's important to get to know one another on your team, if it's new teammates or not. I think it's important to kind of get to know them as a person too, and build that trust outside the rink.
Nice. Yeah, of course. Yeah. It's sometimes it's just little things, right? So I can appreciate that. Um, We need to talk about the SDHL, and I want to hear all about it. So, we're going to start off with what has stood out to you so far in your young SDHL career. What stood out to you both on and off the ice when it comes to the SDHL? Bring us into that. Give us the inside scoop.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, obviously, I haven't lived this close to home in 8 years, so it's nice to be closer to home. And obviously, the food, some of the food I've missed too. Obviously, some of the food in the US I miss as well. But yeah, it's definitely two different worlds, and a completely different style of play. And in college, it's a lot of dump and chase, and you don't have to think as much. But here, you definitely have to be patient with the puck. You have to like come up with something. You can't just dump and chase and think that you're gonna just go chase it sometimes. Um, so definitely patience was one thing that I was like, okay, this is a major focus for me in the first few months, and I still have to work on it because sometimes I just want everything to go as fast as possible, because that's what I was used to mostly in college. But yeah, I think it's been cool to develop more skill in that sense and having to think about the systems a bit more and being more patient all around the ice.
Yeah, you know what? In all of my thinking about how you might answer that question, I didn't even think about the fact that you know what would be great being maybe even closer to the same time zone as family, right? So it's been so long since you had that, so that's a absolutely. It's nice to be able to call them and not have to think. Okay, it's this time here, so it's that time there, and so of course it's again, it's those little things. I like that. Um, as you look at your own hockey career and you look at what's next for you, the PWHL, I wanted to get an idea as to what might excite you the most about, of course, the rest of this year, but beyond this year. And I want to hear, of course, on the ice, but just like before, and just like throughout this conversation, off the ice as well. What excites you the most about the future of your hockey career?
Totally. I mean, more experiences, more, I have a lot to learn still in my career and both on and off the ice. And I think hopefully, obviously, PWHL is a dream of mine. And I just want to keep, working as hard as I can to hopefully make that happen one day. That would be great. And keep expanding, the world of women's hockey in North America and being part of that growth would be awesome.
I know that this is a cliched question, but I'm going to ask it anyways. But what's it feel like to be a part of that expansion? To see, again, even with the national team, as we've talked about, the investments there, the investments in the PWHL, the expansion. It's every year. There's conversations that it's going to expand by 4 teams this coming off season. And that's only after 3 years of the league. At that point, 3 years of the league being in existence. What's it like for you as someone who, when you started your journey, this wasn't an option, and it was even more important for you to get that education. Now this is an option for you where you could get, you're going to get paid to play professionally, of course. Um, what's that like for you? What's that like to be a part of it and to see that growth and to see that enthusiasm from a player's perspective?
No, I think it's awesome, and I think it's, about time too, and I wanna keep, I want it to keep going that one way, and that's the positive way, going up, and I want even more people in Norway to know that we have a women's hockey national team, and here we are, so I wanna keep expanding that even more and more in Norway especially. I think that we still have a good amount, that we could get done there, and, yeah, you just wanna keep growing it all as much as you can.
We have now arrived at the final buzzer segment of the show. So, this is just a fun way for us to wrap up the conversation, a little bit more rapid fire. Are you ready?
Yep, hit me.
Nice. Let's dive in. What is your go-to pregame meal or snack to get ready for a game?
I actually brought my own, like, bag of oats from Norway, in college, and I would just eat that with in a cup of milk, like, 2 hours before a game. Obviously, I have pregame meal too, but that's, like, kind of a snack before. Just some oats and a little bit of peanut butter maybe.
What's one thing that you do to get mentally ready before every game?
Yeah, I actually, like, use a lax ball. It sounds quirky, and I'm not a goalie, but I actually, like, kinda warm up with a lax ball and blast some, music that gets me going and just kinda dial in and do the last touches to feel 100% ready to go.
Has that changed since you first started, or has that always been, or for a long time been a part of your pregame routine, or does it continue to change as you change?
I think the past few years that's like become a new thing and but yeah, just kind of taking a moment at some point on in the off ice warm up and take a couple deep breaths and go through what am I going to focus on today and yeah, just get after it.
Just get after it. I love it. You mentioned music, blasting some tunes. Who is on that playlist? What songs are like, do you have a particular one that's like that one hits every time, or is it like a playlist? Tell me.
I have a couple game day playlists. It depends on the mood, but I have obviously one from Holy Cross, from Providence, and high school even. But a lot of EDM, David Guetta, Avicii, Kygo, the basics. So yeah.
On repeat. That's okay. Do you have any game day rituals or superstitions?
I definitely just, have 3 sticks ready. I tape them perfectly and then yeah, ready to go.
What's something that people might not know about you?
I went to a French school actually most of my life until I was 14. So I speak French fluently.
Still?
Yeah. Most of my
Oh
friends
my,
from back home are like French from like French speaking nations. So
wow.
yeah.
Wow. Okay. If your teammates had to describe you in one word, what do you think they'd say?
I like I'd say social or like I don't know, a yapper. I guess that's what the kids say these days.
Okay, that's fair. That's
Good
fair.
call on
Uh,
it.
um, what has the game taught you about yourself that maybe you didn't expect?
Patience is a virtue.
Wow. Okay. Care to elaborate?
I think just patience all over is hard, and or at least for me has been hard. And keep on working on your patience. If it's with anyone in life or if it's just daily habits, just keep staying patient with everything, and it'll all work out.
Okay, so you may have just answered this question, but I'm going to see if it's a different answer. But when you think back to that young kid growing up in Oslo, Norway, who just loved the game, what do you think you'd tell her about the journey ahead?
Just have fun and keep the good work going, and every single detail matters.
Every detail matters. That's good. Okay. Great way to end the final buzzer segment of the show, as well as the final segment of today's episode. Millie, I just want to say thank you so much for taking the time to hop on the show, share your story. This has been an absolute blast. I've been really looking forward to this conversation. And now you're a friend of the show, which means I'm going to keep cheering you on and I'm going to keep celebrating every one of those milestones. And I can't wait. Thanks so much for joining the show.
Thank you so much for having me.
And if you enjoyed this episode, be sure to like, subscribe, and leave a review and share it with your fellow hockey fans. Your support helps me to keep bringing you stories just like this one from around the world of women's hockey. I'm Chris Sinclair. Thank you so much for tuning in, and I'll catch you next time on Rinkside Rundown.